Hi, everybody. Welcome, guys. Let's get started right away. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Let me turn up the volume on this. There's just way too much going.
Multiple injuries. He wouldn't give a specific number. He wouldn't tell us
A school
exactly the
shooting at
severity of the injuries. But
Georgia.
he said this is a fluid investigation, that a suspect is in custody. He said they're going to take their time. They want to make sure they get this right. Right now they're in the process of reuniting students and parents. He said that is a bit of a chaotic situation, as you can imagine. But he asked the public and, of course, the media to be patient, and he promised more information. He hoped to be able to give us at 4 p.m. In a few hours from now. So a little bit frustrating in that we didn't learn anything more, but you really do have to understand that when there is an active fluid situation, the police certainly don't want to say anything that could jeopardize their investigation. And so we didn't learn a whole lot more there, but at the very least, and he didn't say this, it seems as though the active nature of this incident.
All right. So for those that are coming in, guys, welcome. So we have a situation where this apparently in the last hour, two, if no, about an hour or so, there was a horrific school shooting where 2 are dead, 4 injured so far in a Georgia high school. And this is what consistently what we see so far the reports are saying. So we got to talk about this. 2 are dead and 4 are injured so far from an active shooting at the what is it? Why can I say that? I'm sorry. At the high school in Winder, Apalachee, sorry, high school in Winder, Georgia. So hundreds of law enforcement and emergency medical personnel have arrived. Multiple people have been airlifted to an area hospital. Ambulances are regularly taking people away from school. So there's a lot of ambulances that are coming and going from the site. At least one gunman is in custody. So they have somebody in custody, and it's unclear whether the shooter was a student or not at the time. The police are still barricading the area. Parents are parking at least a mile away and are running to the school currently. A heavy police presence can be seen at the high school. Students are evacuating to nearby football fields or the nearby football field as parents are arriving. Winder, which is the area there, is about an hour away from Atlanta, Georgia. This is a breaking story. And this literally, from a lot of the sources, about 8 or 9 o'clock this morning, depending on what side of the world you're at. It seems like this is just more news is coming about just how horrible this incident has been in the area.
So far, or from 2022 to present, look at these numbers.
Really?
97 incidents, gun-related incidents, just in Georgia. 5 fatalities, 17 injuries, 72 arrests. Again, this is from 2022 to so far in 2024, specifically in Georgia. Nationwide, the numbers are even greater, 575. Those are those numbers that I was just mentioning to you. Again, these numbers 2022 to 2024 so far this year, 97 incidents. Of those 97 gun-related incidents in Georgia schools, 5 fatalities, 17 injuries, 72 arrests. Nationally, the numbers are even greater in 2024 alone. 575 gun-related incidents nationwide, 34 just in Georgia so far this year. A lot of people are asking potentially, how did the gun get in the school? We don't know the answer to that question. We also don't know whether they have metal detectors at this high school. But what we do know is, according to the Student Code of Conduct booklet, the school does have the ability to use handheld metal detectors if they suspect someone at the school, a teacher, a student, potentially has a gun. We also know that every year, according to a new law that went into effect last year called the Safe Schools Act in Georgia, that schools K through 12, not just high schools, are required to have at least one active shooter training drill a year. And that must be conducted by October 1st. Some of those,
and let me get back to more. There's more current updates to this.
School on word of an active shooting.
Hold up,
What we can tell you right now is that 2 people are confirmed dead. At least 2 people, at least 4 people have been injured. We want to go right now to Morgan Chesky, who's been monitoring the scene there. Morgan, what more can you tell us?
Yeah, Lester, that information is still preliminary, but it is confirmed as of this hour as a result of this school shooting that, as you say, was first reported around 10:23 local time at Apalachee High School. That is in the small community of Winder, Georgia, about 50 miles northeast of Atlanta. This video is from our affiliate in Georgia, and you can see a massive law enforcement presence in and around that high school. The entrances and exits, you can see multiple officers located, and there hundreds of students have been directed to that football field where the district is saying they will be reunited with their parents soon. We are still awaiting an official update from authorities there on the scene. We do know, according to the FBI, that their Atlanta office is aware of this current situation. Agents are on scene coordinating with and supporting local law enforcement. Our affiliate there reported at least one medical helicopter taking someone away from that scene. Of that number impacted that you mentioned, Lester, 2 confirmed fatalities, 4 confirmed injured. I think it's very important to stress that the gunman is in custody at this time.
1?
We do not know if they are one of those who are wounded or the weapon that was used. We're only hearing reports that gunfire took place inside this high school around 10:23 local time. Incredibly dynamic situation there. As you can see, the students waiting to be reunited with parents. We know emotions are running high. That is why we're seeing such a significant presence of law enforcement to try to make this as orderly as possible.
This is scary.
But unfortunately, this again is preliminary information. We do anticipate hearing significant updates from authorities within the next hour or so. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, within the last few minutes, Lester, has directed all necessary state resources to assist in any way possible at this scene. And we are seeing the students walking from the school to that football field. We can only imagine the chaos that was taking place around 10:23 local time when the reports of that gunfire initially came in. Lester, this is a community of only about 19,000 people in Winder, Georgia. And at last check, the enrollment of this high school is 1,800. There are no strangers at this school. People know everyone there. And I think that is only contributing to the uncertainty and the frustration as we await for more official updates from authorities that we, again, do anticipate within the next few minutes here. Lester?
Yeah, they are barely a month into the fall school session there. Morgan Chesky, thanks. Let me quickly bring in Cedric Alexander, former public safety director for DeKalb County, Georgia, and an NBC News senior law enforcement analyst. Cedric, let me just ask you very quickly, is there a school in Georgia that is not prepared for this sort of tragedy?
Well, there shouldn't be any school in America that's not prepared for these unfortunate tragedies that occur, Lester. And this is just another one of those cases that has occurred in this country.
School just
and
started.
It certainly is indicative of an ongoing issue around campus security, and further reaches out into issues we have around guns in the country as well.
Yeah. All right, Cedric, thanks very much. We continue to watch these pictures. We've seen a huge police presence, as you might imagine. And earlier we saw parents, caregivers there to pick up their loved ones. Once word was that the school was deemed safe. And again, the suspect is in custody, but the early reports, at least two dead and 4 injured. We'll come on the air with more as we get it. For now, I'm Lester Holt.
All right. Let me just say this, y'all. School literally just started. What is going on? Let me shout out some people. That girl, thank you, my love, for renewing your membership. Shout out to you. JB says hugs to you. Oh, well, hugs to you too. Love your neighbor, count your blessings. That's all we can do. Look, this is just too much. School just started. What is going on? I remember when the Columbine shooting happened. I had just moved to Colorado around that time. I think it was like maybe, like a year. Yeah, I had moved a year before the Columbine shooting. And literally it was just a crazy thing. And then you had the Arapahoe High School shooting happen. My brothers were in that shooting. And they had to take a lot of therapy afterwards. This shit is no joke. Like, I'm telling you, I remember we had to meet them in a separate like area of the school to go pick them up from school. Like, this shit is scary. My son was in daycare around that time, and I had to go to another area to pick him up. It's too much. There's way too much going on. Kids can't even go to school anymore. What the hell?
All right, so our local partners there just gathering the accounts of students on the
Oh my
inside of
goodness.
that high school. That student now walking on foot to go home.
Wow.
Glad to be alive. And you know, when we just stop for a second, we realize, you know, it's easy for us in the news business to give you numbers and police procedure, but it's also very important that we just stop and remember that there are real people involved in this story, families who are on the run to get to the high school, students like that who are walking home shaking. Everybody involved in this story is somebody's somebody. And so our local partners there with CBS know that they are on the ground there. They are talking and getting those real life accounts. Let's go back to some of their coverage in real time.
As this has developed throughout the day since this happened. Again, they said they got the call about an active shooter at this Apalachee high school around 9:30 in the morning. It's 1:30 right now, and there are still parents who are there trying to get together with their kids, hoping their kids are not one of these victims. Multiple victims involved.
That's the scariest part. Let me tell you, that's the scariest part out of the situation, when you're having to pick up to find out. And I remember when Arapahoe High School happened, literally we were waiting because I was waiting for my siblings. We're waiting in the cafeteria with my mom and everybody, and they were releasing people like by groups. And so you would have to sit there and wait to figure out, like, oh my God, like, are they part? Who exactly, who's the victim? What happened? This is the scariest part, is the waiting part, because you don't know who's going to come out.
Want to share any information that then turns out not to be accurate.
Right.
And so they did talk about another press conference coming up in about 3.5 hours, 4 p.m. It's coming up on 1:30 here. And if you're just joining us, it's been a terrible day in Barrow County at Apalachee High School, where there's been a shooting and there are multiple people who are injured. One suspect is in custody. We have law enforcement from all over the state and even federal law enforcement there on the scene, conducting an investigation into exactly what went down. You see the students there who were evacuated to the football field for safety. Right now, parents have been driving frantically to the school, to the campus. Some of them having to park, though, as far away as about a mile or so, as close as they could get. Those parents then getting out of their vehicles and on foot, walking all the way to the campus for a reunion that they are hoping and praying takes place soon with their children.
Wow.
Now, we have team coverage today. We have reporters all around this school, so we know the moment there's a new development out there. One of them is Yasmina Alston. Yasmina, we understand you've just spoken with someone. What can you tell us?
Lana, I just had the chance to speak with a 15-year-old student at the high school. He had just gotten picked up from the football stadium. He was with his mom. He was with his sister. They were all understandably shaken up by what happened, but he did walk us through what happened inside of the school. He says they heard the gunshots in the classroom. He tells me that his teacher immediately closed the door, locked the door, had them hunker down. They had no idea what was happening, but he says they immediately jumped into action to get into that lockdown position. I asked him what went through his mind during that time, and his main concern was, are his friends okay? Are his classmates okay? Because there were so little answers coming into the classroom. Of course, at that time when they were still on lockdown, he was concerned about his friends. He was concerned about his classmates. He said the gunshots sounded very close to the classroom that they were in.
That is crazy. You know, Jim, I think you're on this list. Like, at this point, I remember being back. First of all, I never had a cell phone when I was at that age, high school age. I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 18. But I will say this. It's like, you see how green it is out there? Anybody could hide there. These kids just started school. Look, way to start school. Look at this. Nothing, nobody's safe. Anybody could be hiding in those bushes. Anybody. That's the scary part out of here. It's become so scary
that something like this would actually happen. He says those hours waiting in the football stadium to be picked up by his parents, he says those were some of the longest hours that he's experienced, because he just didn't know. When he heard about, the 2 fatalities, he has so many questions. He wants to know, who are they, and are his friends okay? Are his classmates okay? He told us that he's very happy to have the chance to go home now. His mom also, very shaken up by what happened, but also relieved that she was able to get her son.
Yasmina, very quickly, can you just give us a quick look at the scene around you? We can see you're in front of the school. I can see the school sign there behind you. Are parents coming there? Is that road still blocked off? What's the scene there behind you?
Yeah, so the road is still blocked off. They're letting select people come through down this road. We've, of course, still seen a lot of law enforcement coming down here, getting closer to the high school. We're actually in front of the middle school here, and they're also on lockdown. We've had a lot of parents who've been coming here hoping to get their child, but one person did tell us that that would probably be another hour or so before they were able to get anyone out of the middle school. We have seen tons of families making this walk, many walking at least a mile to try to get as close as possible to the high school to get their children and to get their loved ones. So it is still very active over here as well, but there is a law enforcement presence at the end of the road, and they are directing who is able to come down here and get closer to the high school. And you can see off in the distance there all of the people that are.
Wait a minute. So what happens if nobody's there to pick them up? Thank you, Didi, for gifting the 5 memberships. I'll definitely shout you out here again in a little bit. But I'm kind of wondering, the way that they're doing it, what happens if nobody's there to pick anybody up? I mean, you imagine you're sitting in class and you're having to leave and evacuate because there's this school shooter, and they're telling you your parents are. But what if, like, there's nobody there to pick you up? It doesn't. I don't know. I guess imagine the trauma. I mean, hell. Hearing a gunshot, they can get on the buses. Okay, that's what you're. Shout out to R, said they can get on the buses. It's just, this is too much, you guys. This is way too much going on in the world. You said that they said the buses will take the kids home with nobody to pick them up. Okay, and thank you so much for the heads up. For those that are in the area, shout out to you if you're watching. If you have any information that's helpful, to let the people know, of course. But I mean, it's just, there has been no improvement out of this situation. We continue to have these incidences of school shootings, of, things like this, and school just started. The kids have to worry about this shit all the time. This is scary.
Law enforcement.
So law enforcement needs to ensure that the scene is safe first and foremost. Before anything else, they need to make sure that there's no additional shooters. Even though there's no reporting of an additional shooter, they still need to make sure that's happening. They want to make sure that they've recovered all of the victims. So initial reports are always wrong. And so they need to clear that school for additional threat and to make sure there's no additional victims. And while the families are walking a long distance to be reunited with their children, which is unfortunate, it is essential that law enforcement have a logical, orderly reunification policy, and that they maintain that the roads are open to get emergency personnel in and out of the scene.
I often think about families who are there at that football field at the reunification center, and as they watch child after child be released to the parents, you've got to think that in that crowd are the parents who belong to the students who are wounded or the people who are killed. At what point did those parents learn about the fate of their students, or will this just be a long, horrible, agonizing day waiting?
Well, as soon as they got a report that there was an active shooter at this high school, the day became agonizing for all of those parents, and it became worse.
Okay, we do have an update. So they literally, thank you, Vic, for this heads up. They literally just updated this 3 minutes ago. So we actually have at least 4 killed, approximately 30 injured in school shooting. This is what sources are saying at this point. So at least 4 people are believed to have been killed, and approximately 30 more were injured in the school shooting. According to law enforcement sources in the state, it's unclear how many of these injuries are from gunshot wounds. The information is preliminary and subject to change. A suspect is in custody who is of student age. who is of student age. It's 4, not 2. But it's unclear whether they attended the school. According to sources, all schools in the districts were placed on lockdown, and police were sent out of abundance of caution to all the district high schools. But there are no reports of secondary incidents or scenes, according to the sources. Some of the critically injured were removed by helicopter. Additional helicopters are on standby. At least 2 people have been killed. This is the previous, before the update. The initial report was at 2, and now we're hearing that there are 4. Okay. No other information. We just know that he or she is in custody. I don't want to assume, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. We don't know any information of this child. Hold up. Sorry, I gotta clear my throat. We don't know any information. You said your mom counted at least 4 ambulances, that there was a bunch of ambulances that were coming and going straight to the high school, taking people out. I don't know, Tiffany, like what the heck is going on with the kids, access to guns. Like this is a repeated issue, you guys. This is a repeated issue. And, for me, it's like this is going to be the issue that makes it into a political agenda as well. Like, we got to figure this out, because while everybody's arguing, people are dying and people are getting killed. And this is too much. This is too much. And we got no answers to none of this shit. Every year, every election, every year, it's always something. Isn't it? Always something. We don't have any answers. Somebody wants to do it better than the other person. It just doesn't seem like it ever stops. It really doesn't. I don't know. Let me play this.
Stands ready to provide any resources or support that the Winder community needs in the days ahead. Before I get to the work of the task force, I also want to announce 2 major law enforcement actions that the Justice Department is taking that are separate from the important work of this task force.
No, I can't.
But are part of our broader effort to protect our elections from unlawful interference of any kind.
Oh my God.
First,
all right, so you just heard the comments of U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland about the shooting that took place in Georgia. We started our day here at CBS News 24/7.
I'm glad that they moved away from that, because it's like, who gives a fuck about that shit right now? You got a school shooting. People have to figure this out. Can we prioritize some of this? Because we're not doing right by these kids. I don't know about you guys, but I went to high school. I know some of you guys went to high school or didn't, whatever might have been your situation. But it's like, honestly, I don't remember having to worry about guns. I didn't have to. I didn't think about that when I was a kid. But immediately it's like, we're moving on. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families. Our thoughts and prayers are with, I'm like, are y'all kidding? You guys, you're kidding, right? Anyways.
Before I interrupted you for the Attorney General's comments about this shooting, you were taking us through that bottleneck for parents to get there. You were mentioning that one parent said, hey, I had to walk miles, but I'd walk 10 miles to get to my student.
10 miles to get to their kid.
Speaking of that, it's hard for ambulances and first responders to get through here. We just seconds ago, while Merrick Garland was talking, we actually saw another medevac helicopter land here in the front of the school just behind me, possibly pick up somebody.
Uh-oh. His sound went on.
Helicopter that has gone through here. CBS News has confirmed that there are 2 people who have been killed in the shooting, at least 4 people injured. As for the parents who came running from here, Atlanta is at least an hour from here, and we talked to a woman whose next door neighbor has a son in this school behind me, and he was inside the school when the shooting happened around 9:30 this morning, and he was able to get word out to his mom, but his mom was all the way in the Atlanta area. If you're familiar with Atlanta, that's in the Alpharetta area, that she was over there. It would take her forever to get here through this traffic and this lockdown. So what she did was she called her neighbor, who was about 15 minutes away. She ran about 2.5 miles to get here to hug her neighbor's child and to tell him everything's all right, your mom's on the way. And that was the moment where they connected. Then he had to go to the back of the school, Reed, where he met up with all of his fellow students who are potentially being interviewed by either GBI, which is the local version of the FBI here in Georgia. The FBI has just arrived on scene just a few minutes ago. There is state police. There is local.
His sound is going in and out, guys.
To solve this crime that is all too familiar here in the United States, Reed.
All too familiar, and what is also becoming all too familiar is the dual experience of kids who otherwise would be learning to read and write and do arithmetic and get ready for college, and that is the fact that they are trauma victims and also crime witnesses here in these United States. Dave Malkoff with a picture of what happened there inside the high school. I'm here, my producer telling me, where are we going, Adam? We're going to go now to the coverage of our local affiliate, WANF, out of Atlanta right now, as they look at all of the students who are gathered there outside the perimeter of that high school in that reunification area.
We've seen a number of law enforcement from multiple agencies, as we've been saying, not just local, but state and federal law enforcement as well, wearing tactical gear, many of them armed. We saw a group of law enforcement officers walking to what looked like the front entryway of the building at one point early on, getting ready to enter into a building where they might not have known exactly what kind of threat they were going to face. And so the bravery on the part of these first responders, of these members of law enforcement that put their own lives on the line in order to keep us safe and our loved ones safe, it really just must be mentioned and should not go unnoticed as we see these pictures again and the students. And you can only imagine what it was like for these kids and what it will be like for these kids who were just starting a Wednesday morning at school when all of a sudden an evil thing happened, in the words of Sheriff Judd Smith of Barrow County. An evil thing when someone came in, that person in custody, we're told, and that there are multiple injuries. CBS News reporting that 2 people have died. The sheriff telling us in the brief press conference a few moments ago that they want to make sure they get this right, and that right now the priority is reuniting students with parents, or that's, I'm sorry, one of the priorities is reuniting parents and students, and that's a bit of a chaotic situation, as you can imagine. 1,900 students enrolled in the school. That's what we've been able to find out. And so that's a lot of kids and a lot of parents and loved ones who were trying to get them back together. And the sheriff asked that the media and the public be patient as they work to get more information, to conduct this investigation, to find out the answers to these questions that we all have, which of course is, who would do this? Why would they do this? Who was injured? How serious are those injuries? And if these reports turn out to be true, that there are 2 people killed, my goodness, who are they? What were they doing at the time? You know, having covered many, many school shootings, a lot of times the people who work closest to the front entryway are among the first victims because whoever it is that comes in through the front door usually comes in ready to do damage. I remember covering this shooting in Parkland, covering the shooting at Sandy Hook years ago, that it was the front office staff, the principal at Sandy Hook, who was shot and killed. Now, we don't know exactly who was injured or who might have been killed here today. I'm just saying that a lot of times it is those who work closest to the front entrance of a school when there's a shooting like this who are among the first victims.
So for those that are coming in, shout out to everybody that's coming through. So basically a lot of us are waking up to new news about there being a shooting in Apalachee High School in Georgia. Excuse me, let me cough real quick. Oh, my throat. And initially it was reported that the 2 were confirmed dead. We're now getting updates that it's actually 4, and at least 30 folks, 30, it sounds like it might have been students injured in this whole situation. And so they have been evacuating, they've cleared it, they have somebody in custody who is of student age. That's what we know so far. Other than that, we really don't have any other information. There will be a press conference later on today, I believe at about 4. But that's kind of where we're at. And it sounds like the evacuation has some people feeling some type of way because they're literally having to walk 10 miles to get to their kids after this evacuation. It's a little scary that's going on right now. So, of course, school just started, y'all. Like, school just started, and this is the kind of stuff that people are dealing with, that kids are dealing with. School just started, all right? And this is, I have no words. Because every year it's something when it comes to schools and school shootings, right? It's too familiar, as somebody said in the chat, as a reporter said. It's become too familiar, right? And then what we get from a lot of these people, these leaders that are running the country and other people that are trying to get elected and all this other stuff, it's become this, our thoughts and prayers, This, it just keeps going and going, and we have no solution. We are in 2024, and we have figured out how to do FaceTime. We have figured out how to do different things in technology, but we have yet to figure out how to keep our kids safe in school. No solution whatsoever. One side argues one, the other side argues something different. We have been able to figure out so many things with technology, but we have yet to figure out how to make our schools safer. Shooter is in custody, but we don't know, other than he or she is of school age. We really don't have any other information. That's kind of where we're at. That's what's been released. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't get it. Like, it just, every year, it's always something. Every year. We'll see how all of this shapes everyone.
I'm sorry, we are expecting to hear from the White House.
Yes.
We may or may not hear from the president himself, but the White House is expected to hold some type of a press briefing very soon.
Wow.
Of course, we'll bring you that as well. You think about how long these investigations can take. I mean, I'll remind everybody that it was mid-July, almost 2 months ago now, when there was an assassination attempt on former President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and where one person was killed and several people were injured, including the former president himself. That investigation is still ongoing, and police have not been able to determine a motive in that case. Of course, the shooter in that instance was killed by law enforcement, snipers. So it's obviously the police were not able to talk with him to try to get more information on a potential motive. But again, it just gives you an idea of how long it takes sometimes to get concrete answers. We all want to know the answers immediately, but again, the sheriff said, be patient. And that, unfortunately, is what we're going to have to be here because it could take a while until we learn the answers to all of the questions that we have right now.
Okay, now we're just getting some new information. As we've told you, we have many reporters on scene here and in our studio digging for answers, trying to get you the most updated information. We also have John Decker. He is here joining us with more information on the federal response. So, John, what do you know?
Well, the president has been briefed by his Homeland Security advisor. That was earlier today. We learned this through a pool report, which went out about an hour or so ago. And the president is now meeting with his advisors and coordinating some sort of federal response. We also know, according to another pool report, that the vice president has also been briefed. There's no word as to whether or not the president will address the media. We know that the White House press briefing has been pushed back until after the 2 o'clock hour today, and perhaps we'll get some more information coming from the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre.
John, unfortunately, we have covered these situations too many times to count. And it is just unacceptable. And every time we hear from the president afterwards, and they talk about things that they would like to do, policies that they would like to put in place, legislation that they would like to introduce and get passed that might help to prevent something like this from happening again. But the sad reality is
it's
that
not working.
No president has been able to come up with
None
any
of them.
kind of a magic solution to this. It just keeps happening, and it doesn't matter who's in the White House.
That's the point, guys. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. Doesn't matter who gets elected. None of this is working, y'all. We got to wake up. None of this is working. None of these people are making anything work. Sitting at a conference room with pencils and notebooks and having meetings about what you're going to change, nothing is working. It's been years and years. Whichever side you land on, it's not working. It's not working.
Or policy proposals that would certainly decrease the amount of these types of episodes from happening in the future. And it didn't happen then, and it hasn't happened since. And I think that's the really frustrating thing for any leader, whether you're talking about a Democrat like President Barack Obama, a Republican like President Trump in the last administration, or President Biden right now. We are likely to hear from the vice president a little bit later today. She's in New Hampshire today campaigning, but I am certain that she will address reporters, talk to reporters about what happened in Georgia earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to inject politics into this,
Right.
but obviously there is an election coming up, and we have two candidates who are running to be the next president of the United States. I would think that they would have to say something, right?
Well, certainly you would expect that from our leaders. And as it relates to the two candidates, I mentioned what the vice president is doing today, and I would certainly expect her to talk about this terrible tragedy happening earlier today, another one in
John Decker, our White House correspondent.
A town hall prepared that will take place this evening in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's with Fox News, and certainly I would expect the interviewer there, the moderator of that event, Sean Hannity, to ask about that, if not having a question posed to the former president by those in the audience in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Former President Trump was in office when the shooting in Parkland took place. And that was another scenario where you thought maybe something will be done. And in fact, there was some legislation that came from that awful tragedy. And former President Trump did hold, I remember, several meetings with the victims and different stakeholders in the Parkland shooting at the White House. And then something happened, right?
Well, yes,
right.
something did
We are a
happen
national
as it
broadcast here at
relates,
CBS News 24/7, but as we say all the time, all stories are local stories. You've been listening to local coverage out of Atlanta with our CBS partners. Once again, a shooting at a high school not long after class went into session today. Multiple law enforcement sources now reporting 2 dead.
Their sources are outdated. Notice how quickly they went to the political talk, and then they went, all right, we got to go over here. So I'm looking at I did not know this. I should have known this, but the White House also has a YouTube channel. And they are working towards getting this briefing going. It looks like, so they got this going on here. They got a good 600 and some people waiting for the briefing. So that's up next, and it's live. There's no chat. What a surprise. There is no live chat for it. Actually, all the comments are off, just so everybody knows. So that is what's going on right now. So I'm going to leave this on in hopes that this will get updated here pretty soon. I'm going to it to see if it's not on yet. It's not on yet. It's not on yet. Yeah, if you want to send it to me, go ahead. Let me give you guys my email. My email will be changing here pretty soon. But I haven't done that quite yet, but this is my email right now. So go ahead and email me there. It's a lot of talk and no action. That's all it is. A lot of talk, no action on both ends. This is why I'm tired. I'm tired of them all. And that's kind of how I feel. And I just say, like, damn, like, school just started, and this is the kind of stuff that these kids have to wake up to, that they can't even guarantee safety for any of our children. Nobody's guaranteed safety here. It's just scary. It's scary. And for me, it's all too familiar for me too, because I saw it happen when I was in middle school. Columbine shooting happened, and then seeing it again, years later as an adult at Arapahoe High School. It just doesn't change. None of this changes. And all we get, like I said, we get a lot of people that say, we'll do this, we'll do that, sitting down in a conference room meeting with pencils and pens and political leaders and this and that and the other, and every year, every president, everybody goes through it. There's a school shooting. Sometimes we don't even hear about the ones that don't get broadcasted. There's a lot that we don't know. That's it. So it's scary. And what I would say is that for me, hell, as much as I don't want my kids having cell phones at school because of the distraction, I don't know how they can't at this point. I'm not going to let a teacher guarantee their safety to me at this point. Can't. It's true. It is scary. It is scary. And a truthful statement. What I'm saying. It's like, honestly, nobody's going to guarantee that my kid's going to be safe at school. They can't. We can figure out everything with technology. Hell, Elon over here talking about putting chips in people's brains, but we can't figure out how to keep our kids safe in school. The very basics. Y'all let me know how that works. I don't know. So while we wait, I don't know how long it's going to take the White House on their Facebook page, but I'll keep refreshing. We're going to transition into some other news as well that's happening. And hopefully as we get updated, I'll bring you guys kind of some more updates while we're live. But we have to talk about this new update with Matthew Perry. You guys know we've been following a lot of the Matthew Perry stuff. So it looks like we have a trial date set for the doctor and the ketamine queen connected to the Matthew Perry case. Now, so far, this is what CNN is reporting, that a trial date has been set for the 2 of the 5 charged in connection with the death of Matthew Perry. Now, Dr. Salvador Plasencia, the alleged drug dealer doctor, and Jasmine Sanga, who is the ketamine queen, who prosecutors have also referred to her as the ketamine queen, will be tried together. You're going to have 2 of these people tried together. The trial is scheduled to begin March 4th of 2025. A pretrial hearing is scheduled for February the 19th. You're talking about 2025, next year. So we shall see. I will definitely, hold up. Let me go up. Sorry, guys. The comments go so fast for me, and I got to look it up. Presidents do not live in our homes. Parents need to pay attention to your children. Ain't they being bullied? Are they loners? Are they drawing pictures of guns, dead people? Some kids are very artistic. I'll give you that. But you know what? You're right. These politicians don't live in my house. This is why I tell you guys, be mindful of who and what and who's got the agenda. Read between the lines. Go out and ask questions with your community. Vote locally. Do what you have to do. But you are absolutely right. These politicians don't live in my house. They don't know what I have going on, right? They don't know some of the hardships that I have going on. They are at least 100 layers removed from the people that they are making decisions about. And honestly, I've said this before when I worked in government. I've said this to people that were running various agencies. I would tell them, like, hey, to their face, you guys are 7, 8 layers removed, very top heavy from the people that you guys are making decisions about. And that's why you got to ask the people in the community. Ask them what's going on. When we're talking about Matthew Perry, some people say, well, why do you care about the celebrity stuff? It's because these people are the influential ones, right? These people are the ones that our kids are looking up to. Hell, Friends was a show that was very popular when I was a kid, right? Right? So when I look at this and I realize, man, this man was impacted by a targeted group of people that were targeting him for his money. Okay. That can happen to anybody. That has happened to a lot of people in our community. People die of overdoses. There's clearly an issue with, things not really being looked at, things not being regulated, like drugs. People just flying under the radar because they're doctors or they're social media influencers and whatnot. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. This is why in my channel, it's not just about true crime, but it's exposing the industry as well. It's exposing various cults as well. It's exposing having fluid conversations about these topics. It's important. It's important. Really, Rachel said, I was a senior in high school when Columbine happened. I had a distant cousin there. It's sad. It's sad. The Columbine stuff is very sad. I remember when I was a kid, when the Columbine stuff happened, I was a kid. I was in middle school. And I remember that the whole Columbine High School area, they did this, like, they had the mountain of the crosses. They had crosses up there. And we stopped by there because they had a whole little memorial site there. And there was so much press. I have never seen, and I was a kid, I just moved to Colorado. I've never seen so much press out there. And that's how they covered it. They had so much press out there. There were so many news sources. It was very heavily covered. I just remember being a kid and being on that site and everybody, paying their respects and really being upset about that. That brings memories to me. The trench coat mafia. You guys, when I was in middle school and all that happened, I remember we had the bomb squad that would come to the school and we would be on lockdown and not even know it. Like, they would be locking us into the school and we didn't even know. And they would be looking at a backpack that some individual left out there. That's just scary. It's scary. And they like, wow. And I moved from California. Like, this was like, we would hear stuff all the time, but I don't know what was more scary. Was it like seeing it all play out this way and, having the eyes to look at it? Or was it the fact that all of this was playing out in the media? Like, I just wanted to understand. And I also remember, there were kids that would wear trench coats after what happened with Columbine, and they would get targeted for wearing trench coats. And y'all couldn't wear a trench coat. Now, if it was like 120 degrees outside and you're wearing a trench coat, they're looking at you like you got something going on, right? That there's something going on with you. I remember, who was it? Was it Dylan Klebold's mother who came out speaking out? And, she has talked about like the signs that she has missed with her child, the things that she had missed, the things that she had wished that she had done different, the conversations, her son's, her son's mental health and stuff like that. And I could tell that lady carries a lot of grief from the many years of just really having to come to terms with what happened and what role she felt like she played in this. Yeah, she did a TED Talk, and I think she's somebody that you could tell has been very tormented. You said I know, but everybody was like, yeah, you couldn't wear. There was at one point you couldn't wear black clothing, right? You love your trench. There's people that you just couldn't wear trench coats. And then you couldn't listen to Marilyn Manson because that was another one. You couldn't wear trench coats, listen to Marilyn Manson, and if you wore makeup, it's a lot. It's a lot. You couldn't do that, especially Marilyn. I feel like Marilyn Manson got like, maybe he liked that kind of attention back then, but he did get like a lot of backlash back in the day. They were trying to cancel Marilyn Manson back then. They were trying to cancel that man. They had a trench coat rule. It's still here. Was never taken out. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, it was just around me around that time. I mean, I grew up in a very, I was always looking at the different things all the time. Yeah, don't you remember the Marilyn Manson? There's that. Yeah, Alice Cooper, Ozzy, all those people, when Columbine happened, all those people really got the backlash. You couldn't play video games. Mortal Kombat was another video game that came out and people were saying this stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's way too much. Really, Eaglewood, that's crazy. So here we are. I don't know how many years later, 20 plus years later after the Columbine shooting happened, and we have yet to figure out what's going on. What's up? Do y'all have answers? Let me know, because I don't think we do. I don't think we've ever had answers to any of this, and we're still trying to figure out. Is it the parents? Is it the guns? Is it the politicians? Is it the policies? Is it the schools? Is it mental health? Which one is it? It's like we cannot figure it out. We have yet to, at every election year or every year or whatever it may be, we have a situation. We don't have an answer to any of this. We really don't. But you know what? I'm just a little rabbit over here giving my opinion. Hey, Don, how are you, love? But you just observe the changes. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't. Every year, there's always something. So moving on. Shout out to everybody, and hopefully we'll get an update on this White House press conference. We're waiting to hear if they're going to say something. See what's going on. You think it's all the above? Some say it's look at, here's Serge. Shout out to Serge. Some say that it's because we don't have Jesus. There's that too. I don't know. I remember when the Columbine shooting happened, we could not watch. I mean, that was around the time my mom got into like a religious phase. We couldn't watch The Simpsons. We couldn't watch TV. We couldn't watch La TV novela. We couldn't watch anything. And, anything that was encouraging gun violence, if there was a gun, law and order, whatever the situation was, it was like, woo, shut down. It affected everybody, I think, a little bit different, for sure. But you know what? I don't know. You said it starts in the home or not, says Nan. I don't know. Where do you guys think it starts? Because some of you guys are a lot, y'all let me know where you guys think this is it. When does it end? Every year we get promised something different. Every year. And I'm not going from one side of I'm telling you that it's either somebody gets voted in, there's still a school shooting. There might have been other things going on that we're not even aware of, or the other side. It doesn't matter. We get it both ways, honestly, and we don't have an answer to it. Same thing with Matthew Perry, the ketamine stuff. There's crime that people get targeted on crimes, and we don't even. He's a celebrity, or he was a celebrity, but we don't hear about other people that die of overdoses, and they've been targeted as well. It's a lot. I don't know. Anything, the things that we go through really shape us, really do. They really do. So anyways, so there's going to be a trial. We're going to hear some news on this. Should be interesting. And let's see what comes up with Matthew Perry. I'll definitely be paying attention to anything updates that we have there. Now, speaking of influences to our children, I didn't know that MrYeast had a mug shot out there before he became MrYeast. Shout out to BJ, because this is where I saw this, and then I went to the Reddit, and then I saw the actual screenshot of it. Shout out to, by the way, happy birthday, BJ. Shout out to BJ. Happy birthday. I think she's live. I'm not really sure. I thought I saw her live, but yes, it's BJ's birthday today. You guys make sure you show her some love. So, MrYeast, can you guess which one? I mean, I'm sure everybody knows this is MrYeast, right? We know that this is look at a very young MrYeast. I didn't tag him on the video because I'm scared that we gonna get pushed down. People are not speaking about MrYeast. Bigger YouTubers, certain YouTubers are not. There's some YouTubers are scared, and rightfully so. MrBeast, big YouTuber. Did he is he still in the 3 millions? Let me know. Hold up, let me check, because I haven't checked this channel in a while. Hold up. Let's see. Where are we at with the numbers? Not Mr. Breast, MrBeast. Okay. He's at, he's still in the 300 millions. He still is. Really? Have you seen his videos from when he started and current talking about women? There's a lot going on. He's more applicable to him. MrYeast is more applicable to him. Well, that's the only way I can name him, because the algorithm, if you have like, even if I have a picture of him, I'm like, please don't recognize him, because it will drown you in the YouTube algorithm world. You know, MrYeast is I don't think he's the golden child. He's the bronze child of YouTube at this point. Now, barely, Serge. After all the YouTubers and everybody's been exposing him, barely. They're just now covering him. So, anyways, back in 2018, which doesn't seem like that was that long ago. 2018, how many years? 2014. Y'all do the math. I'm horrible at math. Subtract that. Let me know. But back in 2018, this was posted on like a Facebook. It looks like a little Facebook post, right? And it says, oh, happy birthday, Candy. Shout out to all the birthdays, guys. Shout out to all the birthdays. We got beautiful people, beautiful birthdays. Hey, Grape, welcome. Shout out to you, Candy. And make sure you guys drop some cakes and hearts in the chat for Candy and saying happy birthday. Thank you, Candy. So 2 suspects charged with speed competition, which is like, what the hell is speed competition? I don't know. Like they're drag racing, they're racing each other. What was like they're Fast and the Furious? I don't know. Just say that they're racing each other. That's what it is, okay? That's what they did. So this was back in 2018. Says 2 drivers were arrested simultaneously early Sunday morning and charged with several traffic offenses related to a speed competition after the Tarboro police clocked the duo traveling 122 miles per hour on the US 64 bypass. Complete blatant disregard for the law. Complete blatant disregard for the law, right? Is that what it is? To me, this is giving like Justin Timberlake. Like, I don't care that I have a lot of money, or I don't care, I'm just going to drive drunk, because that's what I do. I don't respect the laws. I don't respect the people. I don't respect life that's around me. I could give a shit about the people that are hurt. I don't care. When I think of somebody, listen, people make mistakes. Completely understand that. But you got to be able to, do what you got to do, own up to it. Don't walk away from the past that you may have. Nope. Shout out to everybody. Okay, so according to the Tarboro police chief, by that time it was Chief Jess Webb, around 2:30 a.m., patrolman Matt was on parole near the intersection of US Bypass 64 and Highway 258 South when he observed 2 vehicles traveling eastbound on US 64 at a very high rate of speed. Webb said that the vehicles appear to be racing each other based on his observation. And they were able to obtain a radar reading on the vehicle, which indicated that both vehicles were traveling 122 miles per hour in a 70 mile per hour zone. Listen, 70 miles is already fast. 122 miles? 70 miles is already fast. 122 miles is fucking fast, honestly. So there was a traffic stop initiated simultaneously and detained both drivers. The first driver was identified as Luis Sebastian Rijos, 22, of Tarboro, and the other driver was identified as good old James Stephen Donaldson, 19. Wow. So after the officer spoke with both suspects and what he had observed, he arrested them for spontaneous speed competition. Several officers arrived to assist the officer. One of the officers made contact with the passenger of the vehicle and found him to be in a possession of an open container of alcohol. Oh, so there was like potential drinking and driving, right? That's interesting. Webb said that the initial efforts to identify the passengers were met with resistance, and the passengers were arrested for providing fictitious information and or refusing to provide identification. After detaining the passenger, who was later identified as Victor Uriel Lopez, 29, of Tarboro, a search of the passenger and the immediate area where he was seated in the vehicle yield a loaded 9mm handgun and various rounds of ammunition. Read the story. So there's more information. Look at this. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's crazy. Right, Jim. Tell them. They tend to fall into the God complex with all the fame, right? Extremes are the only ways to get rush for them, whether it's a speed or drag racing or whatever it may be, right? Right? I'll definitely check it out, Chasey. Definitely check it out. Thank you. Some of these kids are out here driving fast and messing with the phone and live streaming, literally live streaming. How many accidents have we not seen of such situations like that? All right, now let's run over to the White House. Any updates on the White House? Oh, now while we wait for the update on the White House, I do want to tell you guys about something else that's going on. Where'd it go? Dog the Bounty Hunter. We're waiting on the White House to load up, and I'm pretty sure they're going to brief on what's going on. Yes, the White House has a YouTube channel, y'all. The White House has a YouTube channel. Let me see if I can fix this. My windows, they're so small. I need to get me another. You guys, is it crazy that I need another third screen? Because I really do need another third screen. While we're waiting on the White House, you guys have been following the Sebastian Rogers case. Dwayne, the dog bounty hunter, says, "Let's go, Dog Nation. This dog is on the hunt. Got a big one coming up. And trust me, this ain't no small fry. More info coming tomorrow. This will be one for the books." I mean, Dog, the bounty hunter, if he is going to go out there and search for this missing child, I'm all for it. Like, yes, do it. Do your big one and search for this missing child. But can we not make it a big spectacle? Like, I just, I don't know. I know it's going to be a show. There's going to be follow-up. I guess so, Vic. And now that everybody on social media is talking about this case and whatnot, you already know what it's going to be. Let's keep reading his post. He says, "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large milestone hung around their neck, to be drowned in the depths of the sea." Okay, this is straight from the Bible, I guess. Aloha. Hashtag America wants you. Hashtag manhunt in America. Hashtag dog pack. And I'm waiting for him to post the missing person poster for this child. So for those that are fans, there you go. Dog the Bounty Hunter is involved in this. Right? Shauna B. Shauna's like, wait a minute. Dog the Bounty Hunter has a house in Aurora. Why don't he go in Colorado? Why don't he go over there in Aurora and find out what's going on? It's the overuse. Oh, hold up. We got updates. Hold up. Let's see. Am I muted?
That comes with sending your kid out into the world every day.
Here we go.
Living with the real fear of the worst. The worst can happen. So please know that our hearts are with those families in Winder, Georgia, who are forced to face this act of senseless violence. I want to let you know that the president and the vice president have both been briefed, and his administration will continue coordinating with federal, state, and local officials as we receive more information. We're grateful for the brave first responders who are on the scene, and we stand by, we stand ready to provide support as needed. As the president has said time and time again, this is not normal. This is not normal. Students and teachers deserve to know that their schools are safe. They should focus on learning, not lockdowns. While the president and vice president have taken historic action to reduce gun violence, more must be done to keep our schools and communities safe. We continue to call on Congress to do something, to do something. We need universal background checks. We need ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines, require safe storage of firearms, invest in violence prevention programs, and pass a national red flag law. Enough is enough. And I cannot say this enough, which is enough is enough. We cannot allow this to happen in our communities. We cannot allow this to happen in our schools. So we have to do everything that we can to keep our children safe, to keep the people who are supposed to protect our children, where our children, who are they supposed to learn from, safe. And enough is enough. Congress needs to act. Now, turning to my colleague from NSC, who's here to discuss the latest Biden-Harris administration actions today against foreign actors attempting to covertly influence our elections and undermine confidence in our democratic institutions.
Oh my God.
Kirby will discuss the coordinated actions we are taking in addition to other foreign policy news of the day. Admiral?
I thought this was about the school shooting, y'all.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think as you saw today, the Department of Justice, Department of Treasury, and the State Department took a series of coordinated actions against foreign actors associated with the Russian government who are attempting to covertly influence our elections. Specifically, all these federal agencies revealed activities directed and funded by RT, formerly known as Russia Today, to covertly spread Russian government propaganda with the aim of reducing international support for Ukraine, bolstering pro-Russian policies.
What the hell?
And influencing voters here in the U.S.
This is what I'm talking about. Didn't we just not get done talking about this shit? It's a joke, you guys. Oh my God. Weren't they briefing? We just briefed the president. This is where we're at. I cannot. What? I know this is, I get it, but it's like, I cannot, man. It was just a mention, that's all. I thought they were going to be talking a little bit more about this. That was it. That's all.
Russian hacking group that's named Russian Angry Hackers Did It, or RA-DIT for short, as it's also known. The State Department also designated 6 RT-affiliated entities as foreign missions, a designation that now requires them to report information
You're right.
about their personnel and their property to the United States government. For their part, the Treasury Department is sanctioning 6 executives and officials affiliated with our...
I don't know what to say. All right, well, there's your news. Yeah, it's a daily presser. I get it. But it's just sad. I'm just gonna say it's just sad. Like the all she had to say was enough is enough, and this keeps happening. I mean, it's the same stuff that we get every day. I guess it's gonna be more local instead of more information coming from that side. That's it. It's just a daily presser. That's it. And then it went over to the accusations with Russia trying to interfere with the election, yada, yada, yada. Well, I mean, if y'all are interested in watching that, I suggest y'all go watch that because that's it. That's it. It was just part of the briefer. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing more on that. It's sad. I'm just going to say that. Like, I'm like, we really need to spend more time on this topic because, no, we're not doing right by anybody. In my opinion, it just goes back to that. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. That's all. That's everybody gets. Y'all get, let me tell you, that's it. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. No, they're not blaming Russia. No, they're not. But they immediately went to that conversation. They're not doing that. We have no other updates from the shooting. Hold up, y'all. Let me just see. Here we go. We have, that's it. This is the same stuff. So far, it's been updated at least that we have 4 dead. So, yeah.
To be anything but for those students at Apalachee High School and surrounding schools as well. In Barrow County, those schools put on lockdown as a precaution.
Huh.
So this impacted the entire Barrow County community. And again, what we know now, the GBI telling us 4 dead, 9 taken to the hospital, and a suspect alive and in custody.
We got a statement from President Biden, and it's kind of long, but I do want to read some of it to you.
All right, read the
It says,
statement.
Jill and I are mourning the deaths of those whose lives were cut short due to more senseless gun violence, and thinking of all of the survivors whose lives are forever changed. What should have been a joyous back-to-school season in Winder, Georgia, has now turned into another horrific reminder of how gun violence continues to tear our communities apart. Students across the country are learning how to duck and cover instead of how to read and write. We cannot continue to accept this as normal. The statement goes on to talk about the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act that was signed into law. Really one of the only pieces of gun control legislation passed in decades. The statement from President Biden concludes, after decades of inaction, Republicans in Congress must finally say enough is enough and work with Democrats to pass common sense gun safety legislation. We must ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines once again, require safe storage of firearms, enact universal background checks, and end immunity for gun manufacturers. These measures will not bring those who were tragically killed today back, but it will help prevent more tragic gun violence from ripping more families apart.
There you
That's
go.
the statement from President Biden. And of course, these incidents, as often and as sadly predictable as they have become, also predictable is the debate that then takes place after about gun control and whether any kind of law could have prevented something like this from happening. Of course, you have Second Amendment rights advocates who are very against passing any kind of legislation that could infringe on their Second Amendment rights. And then you have, of course, the other side, people who want to see, like President Biden, assaults, a ban on assault weapons to be put back in place. There was one, it expired, and so there isn't one now. But then you also hear from a lot of gun owners, people who are Second Amendment advocates, who say that they would be in favor of what they call common sense gun legislation. So there are all kinds of sides to this story, all kinds of arguments, that we're going to be hearing in the days and weeks to come. But of course, it's a very, very divisive and heated issue.
Always.
That we always hear after mass shootings like this one.
It's always been that, and it's sad to me. But you're right, Rem. It's too much to work on across the aisle. I don't know why don't you represent the people you are elected to represent. There you go. Laws don't change shootings. It's one of those things. It's not a win-win conversation. That's why I don't know what to say. But what I do know is that here is the aftermath of a lot of things that we don't really address, not just as a country, but also like in our homes, as a family. It's a lot. It's a lot. And there you go. And then there's that argument too. You guys, I don't know. There's no answer. There's never a good answer to a lot of this. Shout out to Venus. I saw Venus in the chat. Yes, Venus. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry that what you're going through as well. Shout out to everybody from that area. If you're in this channel, shout out to you. Please stay safe. And of course, family comes first. Family always comes first. Like I said, I know what it's like to wait for your loved one to come out of a high school or a school, waiting to figure out if they're okay after a school shooting. That's a telling you, man, that's a scary ass feeling to get, to be there and wait for people to tell you, to give it an update. It's not something that is just scary. Wow. Well, shout out to you, Jessica. Shout out to your family. I hope they're doing well. Yeah, we're sending all our love to the victims and their families. Okay. Thank you guys for that. There's like no words. Like, I'm just disappointed, you know? It is. It's unimaginable. You don't want to be in that situation. When you're there, it hits a little bit different. You know, Jessica, and I thought I went for the longest time. I did public and then I did private and then I went back to public. And I will say I'm thoroughly disappointed with how schools are, but at the same time, private school is not cheap. And I mean, having to ask for scholarships and stuff like that, it's not cheap. It's not cheap to send your child to private or I don't know, man. It's not. It is. You have a child in high school. It's terrifying. Every day there's always something going on. Every day. So I understand that. Yeah, and not Jordy T, you're right. Like, not everybody has an option to not use public. And I definitely hear you on that. It's not an option sometimes. You do what you have to do. You would expect, I don't know, just the basic expectation that your kids are going to be safe. That's it. The basic expectations that you don't have to worry about your kid, being shot at school or something happening. It's just that. That's my expectation. It's scary. Yeah, you can keep your kids out of public school, but that doesn't stop the problem. You're right, Mag. I mean, shit, this could happen at Walmart. You're right. Happen anywhere. We got to figure this out. It doesn't get any better. I don't know, y'all. Guys, of course, as more information is coming out, we'll definitely keep you guys updated. If more information comes out, I don't want to be repeating the same stuff that everybody's repeating. But shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing. Let me shout out some of you guys because you guys are supporting. For those that supported my channel on this stream, thank you. That girl, thank you for becoming and renewing your membership. JB, thank you again for the 20. Candalee, thank you for being a member for 14 months. You are amazing. Thank you. Daddy's baby girl, thank you for being a member for 7. And Dee Dee just gifted today on the stream 5 members. Let me put some hearts in the chat for you. Thank you, love. If you got a membership from anybody that gifted on my channel, please put hearts in the chat. That's how we say thank you. Try me, bitch. Thank you for being a member for 6 months. Susan, thank you for being a member for 9. Jardín de Eden, thank you for the $1. You are amazing. Thank you for helping out the stream. Dee, thank you so much for DC. Thank you for becoming a member. I feel like you've been a member before, so thank you for renewing. Aaron, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hey, DJ, I haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're doing well. I don't know, and I'm looking at as I'm trying to end the stream and just thinking about this. I don't know what to say anymore. I feel like we've heard it all before. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to make things different. Things are going to be safer. There's this policy. There's this politician. There's this president. There's this person. There's that person. Things are going to be different. Things are going to be safer. I don't know. You know what I mean? All I know is that I'm scared about a lot of the shit that's going on in this world. And I'm going to do my best to take care of me and mine at my home. Because a lot of these people, they're not even here. They don't sleep in my house. They don't know what I have going on. They don't know if I'm struggling with something. They don't know what is going on. So I'm going to do my best to take care of me and mine. And I suggest y'all do the same. You know what I mean? Yes. I would agree with you on that. Self-reliance is important, Of course, get educated, do what you got to do, but self-reliance is important. And that's the scary part, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Take care of you and yours at home, and you make your decisions based on what you see is right at home, and do what you got to do to take care of yours. That's it. That's it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of noise, too much noise all over the world. It's getting kind of scary. And the community. You're right. Shout out to you in the community. Community matters, right? Hey, Renee. Y'all are amazing, guys. Make sure if you are a new member, if you were gifted, check out the Discord. I put a new link in the community wall for the members. Check it out, guys. Go play over there. Say hello to each other. You know, go talk to each other. That's how we keep the conversation going. Y'all are amazing, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Okay? Thank you guys so much again for supporting my channel. Thank you, guys.